All right, welcome back to another CEJA office hours session. Today we will be going over some updates and of course open up to Q&A, but we'll be reviewing the program completion and transition outcomes section on the program completion tab in the CEJA system. But first wanted to go over some updates that we'll have going out tomorrow night. So on Friday morning, you'll see these in the production environment. And we went over these last week, but just in case if anyone wasn't on the call. Let's see. The first one is in the, oops, sorry here. Is in the plan versus actual dashboard. So let me go over there. And this is specifically the Workforce Hubs version here. So when we filter to the report, excuse me, we added a line here for clean energy manufacturing training. So we've added this in here. We've added an info bubble. So individuals who've completed the cohort for a clean energy manufacturing training. And with that, we also added to the cohort section that specific training type. So for example, if we were to look at Regional Council here in our cohorts, the job specific training is now, this is now an option that can be selected. So that's how we would make that connection there. So individuals who are in, this cohort and complete it, they will then pull into this row of the dashboard here. And let's see, so that was that one. Also on the plan versus actual, we've updated in the workforce hubs at the bottom here, these program completion scenarios to include both hired and clean energy job or registered or placed in a clean energy wrap. So we have added that into the report as well. And we'll be going over these completion scenarios today during the demonstration part. I think there's one other thing with this report. We should already see it on production, but we've enhanced kind of the speed with which it loads the report, not just for workforce hubs, but for everybody. And so we've had our programmers been working on that to make sure it's loading at a good pace and pulling in correctly. Okay, just want to make sure there was nothing else in the play versus actual to go over on the. So if you go to the Outreach and Partners tab, on the Partner tab, we have made some updates. So if we're adding a partner for types, for partner types, we got our list here. And then also for partner current interests, we have our list here. We can quickly add, if there are multiple ones, we can quickly add them all here. And if we needed to, remove them, we could do so. Same down here. It's kind of a quick select all, option there. And in this part of the system, also on the Outreach tab, we have added an export feature that we were getting a error message before, but that's been corrected. And let's see, profile ID. I don't think that one's really worth mentioning. And let me see, just to make sure if we have this in the current sprint. I thought we did, but I want to do a quick double check here. Yes. There has been some confusion, but we wanted to just have it clarified, for everybody that when we are looking at a customer's record, whether it's on the progress page or the program completion follow-up, we're working on a text update. So we have training completion status and program exit status. And training completion status is referring to the training services that the customer is participating in. And once they complete that, this can be updated to completion. And now they may still, after completing the training services, if they have a status of complete for training completion status, they may still receive other support services, wraparound support services. But then once all services are complete, then we can update the program exit status to exited. And so we just wanted to make that distinction a little more clearer, based on the text that we currently have. So that will be available in production. Well, all this that we've gone over will be available in production Thursday night, but Friday morning. I think those are the updates I wanted to cover. But before we get into the demonstration portion, wanted to open it up to see if anyone had any questions. If not, that's okay. We will have an opportunity after the demo here to go over any questions. But if anything does, come up along the way, you can add them in the chat and we'll get your questions answered. But we'll go ahead and get started. Let me find our customer that I wanted to use for the demo here. Okay, so I'm logged in as a Workforce Hub grantee. And if we're wanting to, update their status to complete or exit them and add, these transition outcomes, this is how we would go about it. So we would find our customer in the system, and then we would check to make sure that their services are closed. So we're currently enrolled with this one here. And actually, before actually closing this, I do want to go over to the program completion tab really quick. So maybe, if there was, so add training completion status, we can select this and we have the options for in progress, which we currently are because we're enrolled, complete and withdrawn. And so if we select withdrawn, we can, maybe they, we need to update these services, they didn't complete it, we can update their status to, unsuccessful completion. And then we can come over here and update their status to withdrawn, enter the date, and then select the reason for withdrawal. And this is an optional field, but we do have, we do have an exit interview questionnaire. You can still update the status without uploading that file. And so that's how we could update the completion status to withdrawn. And we have in progress here just in case, for the wrong customer, or maybe, just, didn't mean to. If we update to complete and withdrawn, but they're actually still in progress for, their training services, we can, switch back to it. Nothing's really asked here. But then if we mark complete, for completion type, we do have a few options here. So when we select, we'll walk through each one. So if we select successful placement without bridge training, completion, we'll kind of see, the system will check to see what's needed in order for us to save this status. So we can see we got 3 action items here. So non-bridge, job-specific training services need to have a status of successful completion, unsuccessful completion, or evaluated not required. Bridge training service status needs to be unsuccessful completion, and a job or wrap transition outcome needs to be added. And so we'll need to go back to our career plan. And that first item mentioned having a job-specific training service here. So let's add one of those in to our career plan. That's loading. It also said the bridge training service needs to be unsuccessful completion. Okay, so we'll say for our job specific training that we completed it. We'll enter our dates, our average weekly hours, service provider. Because it is a training service, we will need to have a post-assessment score of 70 or higher in order to mark it as successful completion. So go ahead and get that entered. And once we update the service here, the case note. Let's refresh this here. And we can see this in action here. So we go back here, we can then see I wonder if I need to start it first. I will say normally you wouldn't be adding a service and then immediately marking it as completion. So let me add this first, just in case. Make sure the system has the latest data here. That was probably maybe my issue. Okay, so now that we have the latest information in the system, back here, complete. Oh, I know what it is. I also need to update this follow-up services because that is a non-training service. So let me just mark this one as evaluated, not required, and then we should see date here. I think I'll need to update this job-specific training service back to completion. Okay, let's refresh one more time just to make sure the system has the latest info here. So I'm missing
So
a
when you
series.
started it, so for your bridge training, it says that you need to change what your bridge training to, if you're trying to do the first one, it said you need to change your bridge training to unsuccessful, right?
Well, the non-bridge
Non-bridge.
job-specific training, yeah.
Go back to the career plan page. Well,
Job-specific.
you have it as successful. So I mean, it just depends on what you're trying to do. So if you're doing successful placement without bridge training completion, you need to have your job specific marked as unsuccessful. And right now you have it marked as successful.
Or do we need
Need
to
to have a
take?
status. Oh, maybe
Yeah,
that's the error right there that got in the message. Sorry.
yeah, maybe
So,
we need to take that out actually. So I think that's where I was getting confused. So let's
we'll clarify
maybe
that.
change this here. Yeah. Okay, so we'll change this status to unsuccessful completion, and then let's try that here now. Hmm. Let me update the bridge service first in case it's wanting to see that. Okay, so bridge. If we say unsuccessful completion here, I go back to my progress page and refresh just in case. Push this to. Okay, so there might be something where it's wanting to see that the bridge training service is addressed first. But with this scenario, the bridge training is unsuccessful completion. We've closed our job specific training or our non, bridge services as well. And so then the only other thing we need to do is add a job or a wrap transition outcome. We can do so down here in order to make that, in order for us to select this as a completion status. So we'll say apprenticeship, we've been placed. Yes, non-union. Yes. Enter in our Rapids ID. So we save this. We'll then be able to mark the training completion status here. Okay, so now that we've got that entered, when we select now successful placement without bridge training program completion, we can see that we're meeting all the criteria here, and then we just need to enter in the completion date, and then we can click save. So then once we enter our case note and the system refreshes, we can see that we're complete. We can see the date and then the training completion type. So looking at our other two options, successful placement without job-specific training completion. Okay, similar criteria. We've got our training services. Those are closed. The bridge training service needs to be successful completion. Currently, it's unsuccessful. The job-specific training service is either not included in the career plan or as a status of unsuccessful completion, which is what we have for that service. And then we've already entered a registered apprenticeship transition outcome. So then in order for this, we would just need to update the bridge training service to successful completion. Oh, I need to add an assessment here. So let me add that. Update this now. And when we come back and make this selection, we can see that those four criteria are being met. So then again, we just need to enter the completion date, add that in, and a case note. Click OK. And then for the other type of completion, we have successful completion of bridge and job-specific training. Our training services have closed. Bridge is complete, but our job-specific training needs to be updated from unsuccessful completion to successful completion. So if I go over to that service and update the status here, then we should be able to make that selection as well. Yeah, so then we can see we're meeting the criteria there. And then for this, once again, we'll just enter in the completion date. And enter a case note. So you can see that that is updated here as well. But yeah, we'll take a look and make sure this first one, I don't know if it was kind of my order of operations here or, if we need to update some text here, but we'll take another look at that and make sure we get that corrected here. Okay, so those were the different, completion statuses. Once, all the services, training and non-training have been closed, we can then update the program exit status. And here, we just have exited or not exited. Um, the default is not exited, but, if you did by accident, mark someone as exited, you can switch them back to not exited, but just a simple selection and case note. All right. And then we went over the transition outcome for apprenticeship, but there are a few other options that we can add. So for job placement, we have, the following questions. Is this job in clean energy or construction building trades? Yes or no? Is the job temporary or transition job? We should probably change. Well, maybe not. Yes or no, we can indicate that there. And then do they receive fringe benefits? Yes or no? And then we can enter the employment information here. So we can enter the employer name, the address details, then the hourly wage paid, overtime pay rate if applicable, hours per week, and the start date of employment, and end date if we need to. And then we can also add the SOC code for the occupation. And so we can do that lookup that we've seen, elsewhere in the system where we can enter a keyword or click this search button, pull them all back, and then use this text search here to find and select the best option that most aligns with the employment here. And then we can click save. And case note. You can see that that job placement has been added. If we needed to remove any of these, we can, click this X here to delete it. If we wanted to edit any that we've entered, it'll just we can click the name of the outcome and it will pull up the window where we can make our changes. The next outcome we have is other training. So this is training in clean energy or construction building trades. And then we have type of training. We have a few different options here: community college, university, trade school, on the job training, not apprenticeship, and other. And then we can just enter in the program name and the provider name. And then we can enter in the program address information. And then the status. So we have a few different options here. So maybe they're enrolled in the program. Then we can also add the date of enrollment here. Another case note. And for a couple of these, we do have, when we go back to here, you can add, another status, and maybe they were enrolled, on this date, and then, we can follow up with them and then, confirm that they've completed or graduated here. And I think I'm getting an error because of the dates of what I entered here. I probably should have had a earlier date. Let's see, completed. Well, I'll have to take a look at that. Yeah, but then our other transition outcome that we have is open small business. Is this business in clean energy or construction building trades? Yes or no? And then the state of the business, declining, steady, and growing. Then we just enter in the um, business details, so the name, the address, the website, number of employees, the year the business was open, and what services does this business provide, and our follow-up date. Click save. I'm not sure why I would have got an error there. Let me try that again. Okay, not sure what happened before, but yeah, so then we could add that in there and enter our case note. And then we do have a job search transition outcome, but I believe we are going to remove that. Let me just do a quick check and make sure. There is another one that we will be adding. I think it's in this current round of updates that we're doing. I just want to do a quick check here on another screen. Um, yes, this other one. Let me pull over a part of a mock-up here. Okay, let's see here. But yeah, the transition outcome would be, a joint entrepreneurial program. Is this a CEJA program? Yes or no? If we say yes, then we can select the program. We have CEJA, or sorry, Clean Energy Contractor Incubator, and then we'd select our grantees. But then the other CEJA program is Clean Energy Primes Accelerator. And we'd select the grantee, click save. And then I think I have a more recent version of this. Because if we say if it's a different provider, yeah, here we go. If we say it's not a CEJA program, then we'll collect that program information. So the program and provider name, program address details, and then that status and status date. So like I said, our programmers are working on that in this current round of updates, so we should be seeing that soon. And then if we go to, I just want to point out, refresh this over here, go back to our customer search list. Because before we made these updates, we saw customer status enrolled, program completion status not exited, and transition outcome not applicable. If we refresh and search, we can then see we're exited and our transition outcomes that we've entered are pulling through here. And then on the progress page as well, we can see complete and exited. Not sure why that's red. That should be green. I'll take a look at that too. And then just taking a look at other parts on the program completion follow-up tab. If we go past our transition outcomes, we can see follow-up case notes with our different intervals of when we should be following up with the customer. And so we can just click add follow-up case note, enter a case note, and then this would become a green check mark. But because I've added this customer today, our dates are today, we're not at that, time period yet. And then for earned credentials, any credentials that we add to a training service, and once that service is marked as complete, they will pull through to the page. And so let me just add a credential here really quick, a couple. And we can then see those credentials pull through here. Then success stories, we do link to our success story page. So this is our success story guide. This just kind of explains what success stories are in Illinois WorkNet. We have video of a webinar going over, or short video going over success stories. Our different audiences here. So participants can submit their success story by logging in with their WorkNet account. Employers as well. And then I feel like the one that's most common is the service providers, where the grantees or navigators would be submitting on behalf of a customer. And so I'll open up that window here, but then down below we just have some tips and one pagers for the different audiences in a success story. What information is collected, what to include, best practices and so forth. But when we click the log into your account, choose to submit your customer business stories. If you're not already logged in, which I might have to, yeah, it's going to make me in here. So let me do that. So then we can, search for a customer. We don't have a test environment for success stories, so I won't actually do the search, but you can search by the customer's WorkNet username or their name, and then it will, show a list of customers that you have access to that potentially match, the information entered. Then you can make that selection, and then it would show. I'm trying to get to. I think last time I was able to get to a form. Yeah, here we go. But it would look like this. So we would see, the participant's name fill in here with, some of the information connected to the account. So name, location. So we would need to enter in address for participant info, and then story info. We would make our selection for which program they're in. The program address, information here, the best current pathway or industry that aligns with the program. And you can also add credentials earned. And then here you have fields where you can enter a title of the success story. And then here's kind of the narrative portion where you can enter that into this area here. You are limited to 5,000 characters. And then we just need to upload a photo. So you can either, if there's a photo of the customer that they're comfortable with, sharing and being made public, that can be added here. But if not, grantees in the past and other programs have just entered their organization's logo, and so you can upload the photo there, and then down here just accepting the terms of use agreement, and then check the box, click the button to save story. And we have staff who will review this on a weekly basis. to review and approve. So they're not sitting out there pending. But once approved, they then become public within WorkNet. So that was just some of the other items included on this program completion follow-up tab. But with that, are there any questions? I don't see any questions in the chat. But does anyone have any questions about program completion, transition outcomes, or anything else we've covered on the call today? Are there questions about anything else that we haven't gone over?
Hey, David.
Hi, Nick.
This is Nick. Hey, I've had a couple of grantees. Well, I got a couple of grantees who are new and just kind of getting to the point of getting their programs and stuff loaded into the system. I've been able to help them. I'm able to help get the training programs loaded, but I don't know as much about the cohorts. Would you be able to show that either today or at a future event if you don't have that in front of you?
Yeah, I think there might be a good one for next time. I think there might be some updates that we're working on that I want to make sure that we have in place before we go over.
Okay,
So
cool.
yeah, I can get back to you on the cohorts.
All right,
David,
thank you.
oh, sorry, Nate. David, this is Michelle. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, good. I have a question. A grantee and myself was wondering, so on the dashboard, I know that you can tell when someone becomes an applicant, but can you tell if all of the components, and when I say that, if I'm a navigator and I'm doing the pre-screening and the intake and the needs assessment and the career assessment, and I send it to the hub, how does the hub know that all of those pieces have been completed? We're finding out that it says there's not really a way to know unless you go into every person.
Yeah, so at least in the the record here, with an individual record, we can see career assessment, service needs assessment. If this is
Yeah.
good, then we have all that completed.
Oh,
But then
yeah, I realize that, but is there a way to see how many of those are not complete?
yeah, so in the dashboard that we got to here, so dashboards and then CEJA, we can do the appropriate filters. In the intake section, we can see, here's the application, here's how many who do not have the application completed, and who do not have the application completed within 10 days. And then same for career assessments, complete, not complete. Yeah.
So what I'm seeing though, is that tied to the navigator's piece or is that tied to the whole picture? Because I feel like I have a navigator and I'm not 100% sure that thinks they're getting all these applicants from their navigator, but yet when they go in, it looks on the dashboard like the application's complete, but when they go in, some of those tabs are not complete.
Yeah, I might have to take a closer look
Okay.
at
I'll
that
investigate a little
specifically.
bit.
But I believe that, if this was, so yeah, let's just take a look. So this would be, so I'm what, this grantee, Richland Community Council. Pretty much anyone I have access to in my customer list would be showing over here. So if I was a navigator, I might have different grantees, but when I feel, who've, kind of that I've referred, different customers to, and maybe I'll just log in as a navigator. That might be a little easier to kind of show.
And the actual scenario is a hub is logging in and they're wanting to start contacting the applicants, but when they go in, they find that even though it says they're an applicant, there's certain tabs that still need attention, like needs assessment or career assessment,
Yeah.
but they're still showing as an applicant, and the only way they can see what needs attention is to go into each individual record, and that's very time consuming.
Yeah. So I'm logged in as a navigator over here in the dashboard. So I can see, here's the application. We got 11 who do not have a completed application. So when we look at that, this will then pull back, our list of 11, and we have, let's see, different providers. So here's, Centralia, here's Community Partnership, Kirkland. And then that's, kind of because they don't have a completed application, they're going to show up as, pre-screening. And then similar for, over here, if we click the not having completed the career assessments, we can find, our one.
So I guess my question, what triggers applicant? Because, for instance, I know the application isn't totally complete until the hub gets it and the career plan's done and all that piece, right?
They'll go from pre-screening to applicant once let me just double check and make sure. Once the application is once the application is submitted. So let's say,
right, but it's not the whole application, right? Because the hub picks up where the navigator leaves off, right?
well, I guess it depends on the workflow, but yeah, it is once. So this is, we're pre-screening now with this customer, and let's just, run through this real quick here. But once this is completed, then they'll go from pre-screening to applicant. So we can see here, we got our eligibility check. We're good to go, continue to intake. And then when we go back to the customer's record, we'll then see that they're now an applicant.
Okay, so they're an applicant, but what if they haven't done the needs assessment? They're still an applicant, right?
Right. Yeah.
So is there a way to use that dashboard to see that, okay, they're an applicant, but they haven't done the needs assessment? Is that what you're saying will show up here?
Yeah.
Customer needs?
Yeah.
Okay.
So over here,
All right.
so yeah.
I'll go through. They have a list, so I'll spot check their list and if it's not lining up, I'll let you know and I'll send you the list so you can see what I mean, but
Okay.
it might be fine, so
Yeah.
I'll take a look. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Let's see. Are there any other questions? Is there anything that our RAs would like to share with the group?
I got nothing else today, David. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nothing either.
So that's all I had.
All right. Well, if there's no other questions, we will post a recording to our partner guide page, and we're going to take a look at some of the issues we were running into during our demonstration portions. I know in the past, sometimes UAT has not always been cooperative when I'm demoing, but like I said, we'll take a look and make sure everything's squared away, and if we need to, we'll get a fix in for that. But I do see a hand raised. Hi, Leslie.
Hi, good afternoon. I don't know if you all can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so I actually am working with Leslie. I'm her new navigator. My name is Jayla, and I have been entering in a lot of intakes into the system, but when I just tried to do our report, it was showing me 0. So, and when I looked into even going into like the application, I've had them sign their application via the email process. And then I'm trying to figure out, they've also done their assessment, their needs assessment, and I also did the career assessment, but it's everything is still showing up as 0.
So I would say one of two things. It might be that, if we make changes to the system or, to a customer's record and they're not pulling through the reports, we might need to, click this button after we've made those updates, just to make sure that the system is picking up on, the latest information that's been entered. So on an individual level, you can select the refresh status button here, or if you wanted to update everyone in your customer list, in this dashboard section, we can click this refresh data button and we'll get a prompt, based on the number of customers. It might, take a while. But when we click OK here, then it's going to do, what we did, just over here. So I would say to, refresh that, information for all the customers and then run the reports again. But if you're still running into that where you're seeing zeros, you can, submit a help request ticket, and we can, kind of troubleshoot and, take a closer look at see what might be going on.
Now, all of the people in there are saying like, they're all showing as like, what is it, intake or inquiries. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
If we're talking about the plan versus actual, is that the report that we're talking about for?
No, I was looking in the CEJA report that you just used in, but when I look inside of I was looking at a couple of my intakes that I have placed in the participants I entered. Their status is still showing inquiry, and I got a couple that says applicant.
Yeah, we might need to, if you could send me an email or help request with those, I think we might have to take a closer look at that.
Not a problem.
Off this call.
And I'll get that information from Leslie to get that over to you.
So great. All right, are there any other questions that we got today?
This is Larry. David, I do have one other question. The issue, I thought I just heard it come up, the issue with the plan versus actuals showing zeros for any of the characteristics or program delivery that we know are not 0. Has that issue been completely resolved?
Yeah, we should be good. Yeah, we're good there with, the plan versus actual, the load time and the zeros. We should be seeing, numbers in there.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right, well, if not, we'll end our call. Like I said, we'll get the recording posted to the partner guide, and if anything comes up, you know how to get a hold of us. You can send an email and help request ticket, and we'll go from there. All right. Oh, I see Debbie, you got you. All right, I'm seeing a thumbs up now, so maybe we're good. But if not, you can send an
You're
email.
good. Yeah, no, you're good.
All right. Well, with that, we'll close out. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Thanks all.
Thanks, David.
Bye,
Thanks,
y'all.
everybody.